How many of you have ever heard of a man named Nicholas Winton? Safe to say, most of you have never heard of him. I actually did not hear of him until earlier today when I heard a news report that Nicholas Winton passed away early today at the age of 106. And you may say, okay, well, that's amazing. But what is it about Nicholas Winton that you want to bring up, let alone he lived to be 106? Couple of points on that. First of all, he wasn't Nicholas Winton. He was Sir Nicholas Winton. A number of years ago, he was knighted. He was born in London in 1909 to a German Jewish mom and dad, but was raised as a Christian man. In 1938, he traveled to Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia, which then did split into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Nicholas Winton was known as the British Schindler. Now, I know many of you know of the movie Schindler's List and know a bit about Oskar Schindler and what he did and how he saved so many people from the Nazi regime. Nicholas Winton saved 669 children, most of them Jews. He brought them in organized trains early on the Nazi occupation in the late 30s. He brought them to Britain in many different trains, saving them from concentration camps and near certain death. A few years ago, there was a British special that aired on television. You can still watch it on YouTube. It was an evening by which they honored Sir Nicholas Winton. And it wasn't just kind of an honor in terms of in word. They had a number of people in the audience that as children he helped save from the Nazi occupation in Czechoslovakia. Unbeknownst to Nicholas Winton, he didn't know they were there. In fact, the woman sitting next to him during the broadcast, they asked the woman to identify herself. She did. And then they made the point, this is one of the children at that time that Sir Nicholas Winton saved. And the interaction is, it will. You better bring a box of tissue. And then they asked how many people in the audience were there that had to do with that time. And the majority of the audience stood up, and Nicholas Winton just cried like a sweet man that he is and was. And so I want to honor him first and foremost in this selfless, courageous effort, something that happened many years ago at a time when I just wonder how many of us, if we're in that position, if we see something as horrific as the beginning of the Third Reich and when people were being taken and the suspicion was they were being killed because they were Jews, how many of us would have done something? At life's risk, Nicholas Winton, over a period of, I think, a number of years, saved 669 children. And so I want to honor him and share with you again. He passed today at the age of 106, and I had heard that this was a special day indeed. This day, I think 76 years ago, he helped transport out on trains the majority of the children. And he passed today on that anniversary. So other than courage, other than a sweet sentiment, what else can we do as it applies to this man's life? And this is what I'd like to share with you, and maybe we can talk about this. I don't know about you, but for me, I often think, and it's not a morbid thought, it's just there's some truth in this. I often think about when I do pass away, what would I be remembered as? Other than my family, would anybody come to the memorial? And I'll tell you this much. When I think of every year of my adult life, save the last 6, I lived for myself. I lived in rebellion against God. I was a man that just embraced sin and wanted nothing to do with even posing the conversation about who Jesus Christ was, let alone who he is and who he will forever be. And I taught the New Age, all about self. A lot of people came to my seminars. A lot of people said a lot of wonderful things about me, and my ego just loved it. But when I came to know Christ as my Lord and Savior, I realized through a series of events that doctrine is empty. The worship of self is dead. And it is absolutely popular and kind of figuratively alive and well in our country. And so when I think about what would I be remembered as, I hope I'd be remembered as a man who loved Jesus Christ above everything. And a man that really wanted to share with the world who he is and what he can do for you if you don't know him. For you in your life, what would you like to be remembered